Have you ever been to a restaurant with a self-serve soda fountain, ordered a water, and then filled your cup with soda? Or maybe you bought a movie ticket, sat and watched that movie, and then snuck into another room and watched that one without paying for another ticket. These actions would be considered petty theft, which is stealing something that doesn't have a high value. Today, we'll be exploring the useful vocabulary and expressions found in an article about a school principal in Japan who was punished big time for paying for a regular-sized coffee, but filling up a large-sized cup a handful of times. As usual, there are links to the original article and a PDF study guide with notes available in the description of this video. Today's article by Colette Lim of the Straits Times called School Principal in Japan Fired for Coffee Theft, Denied Retirement Pay begins. Despite paying for a regular-sized coffee, a principal at a junior high school in Japan helped himself to a large cup at a convenience store self-service machine. Here we have the idiom to help oneself, and this really has two definitions. The first, as it is used here, is to take something without permission. This principal helped himself to a large cup of coffee despite only paying for a regular-sized coffee. This idiom can also mean to serve oneself as much food or drink as one would like. So let's say you go to a party and there's a bunch of food spread out on a table. The host might come up to you and say, "Help yourself," which is inviting you to take what you'd like. He was caught in Takasago, a city about a 7-hour drive from Tokyo, after a worker saw him pressing the button for a large cup on December 21st. He was dismissed from his job and had his teaching license revoked, reported Japanese daily Asahi Shimbun on February 16th. He did not receive his retirement pay either, believed to be about 20 million yen, about $130,000 US. So here I highlighted the vocabulary items about the punishment he received. First, he was dismissed from his job. To be dismissed from one's job means to be fired or let go from one's job. Now, the verb dismiss can also mean to order or allow to leave. Like in this sentence, the teacher dismissed the students when the bell rang, so the students were allowed to leave at that point. It can also mean to reject or refuse to consider something. For example, we could say, his suggestion was quickly dismissed by the team because it would cost too much money. Also in this paragraph, it says his teaching license was revoked. The verb revoke means to officially cancel an agreement, a right, or a legal document. Like in this sentence, she had her driver's license revoked after pleading guilty to driving while intoxicated. So this person drank too much alcohol, drove a car, and was caught, so the judge revoked or took away her driver's license. In our article, the principal's teaching license was revoked or canceled for his actions, and as a result of his wrongdoing, he will not receive his retirement pay, which is about $130,000 US. Our article continues. At an interview with prefectural board officials, so their Board of Education, which oversees this prefecture's schools, the principal, 59, said that he had acted on impulse and was truly sorry for his misconduct, the report said. Here I highlighted to act on impulse. When someone acts on impulse, they suddenly decide to do something without planning it. Like in this sentence, he acted on impulse and said some things he later regretted. Maybe you've acted on impulse, done something without really thinking about it, and then later felt bad about what you did. I've also highlighted misconduct. Misconduct is a noun and means improper or unacceptable behavior, especially in a professional setting like work. A regular-sized coffee at the store costs 110 yen, and the larger option costs 180 yen. He admitted that he had upsized his coffee without paying 3 times before at the same store and 4 times at another store. In total, he underpaid an amount of 490 yen, so a little more than $3 US. Here we've got the verb to upsize highlighted, and this means to make something larger in size, amount, or scale. For example, in a fast food restaurant, to upsize usually refers to increasing the size of a meal or a drink for a small additional cost. And the opposite, naturally, is to downsize. This means to reduce something in size, amount, or scale. But instead of being used to talk about food in restaurants, This is commonly used in business to refer to reducing the number of employees or cutting costs, such as when a company downsizes its workforce, it lets go or fires a bunch of workers over a very short period of time. We can also use the verb downsize to talk about personal decisions, like moving to a smaller home to save money. A couple might say, we downsized our house after the kids moved out. So now that the kids are grown up and out of the house, there's no need for this couple to have such a large house, so they downsized. They sold their large house and bought a smaller house. Here we have the verb underpaid, which is the past tense of underpay, which has a couple of definitions. Here it means to pay less than the actual price or value of an item. We can also use it to talk about paying someone less money than they deserve for the work that they do. Using our first definition, we could say, I underpaid for this rare Pokemon card because the seller didn't know how much it was worth. So in this case, because the seller didn't know the value of the item, the buyer was able to pay a lower price. And using our second definition, we could say, that company has a high turnover rate because they underpay their workers. So in this sentence, the company has a high turnover rate, which means the workers don't work there long because they either quit or get fired. They are underpaid, so they don't get paid enough for the job they are expected to do. Underpaid can also be an adjective. Continuing our reading, it says, prosecutors decided not to indict him after receiving files on the suspected theft from the police, but acknowledged that he committed theft. Here in this sentence, I have quite a lot highlighted. Prosecutors are the lawyers who represent the government in criminal cases and work to prove that someone has committed a crime. The verb indict means to formally accuse someone of a crime through a legal process. Suspected theft is the belief or allegation that someone stole something, and committed theft means the act of actually stealing something. So prosecutors, the lawyers responsible for proving someone committed a crime, decided not to formally charge the person with the crime, not to indict him, after reviewing the information about a possible theft, suspected theft, that the police provided. However, the prosecutor still recognized or admitted that the person had indeed stolen something, acknowledged that he had committed theft. So even though they believe he stole something, they chose not to file or pursue legal charges against him. Critics have questioned the board's decision on his punishment, which was announced on January 30th, calling it a death sentence for an offense which caused little monetary loss. Here I've highlighted death sentence and monetary. Usually a death sentence is a punishment in which someone is sentenced to death for a crime, so they are guilty and their sentence or their punishment is death. In this sentence, though, it is used to describe an extremely harsh or severe punishment. The principal isn't actually going to be put to death for underpaying for the coffee, but it is like a death sentence because it is so severe compared to the crime that was committed. He stole less than $4 worth of coffee, but ended up being punished his entire retirement pension worth over $130,000. There was little monetary loss. Monetary means related to money or currency. The convenience store only lost about $4 in revenue, so there was little monetary loss for the store. Dismissal is the most severe measure used to discipline a public servant, followed by suspension from work, a pay cut, and a reprimand. Here's another sentence loaded with useful vocabulary. We have dismissal, which is a noun that means the act of officially removing someone from their job or position. As a verb, it is dismiss. A severe measure is a strict or extreme action taken to address a serious issue or behavior. It is often used as a last resort when milder actions are not enough. So we could say, the school took severe measures to address the drop in student attendance. So in this case, students were skipping class too often, so the school took severe measures to address the issue because softer measures weren't working. You'll notice that severe measure often collocates with the verb take, so take severe measures. The word discipline can be a noun or a verb and has a few meanings. In this sentence, it's a verb and means to punish someone. A public servant is a person who works for the government, So these could be teachers, police officers, or government officials. And the word reprimand is also a noun or a verb. In this sentence, it's a noun, and this is a formal expression of disapproval or criticism for wrongdoing. So if you get a reprimand at work, a record of it is probably kept in some kind of employee file, and management will take a look at that the next time you're in line for, say, a raise or a promotion. Continuing our article, it says, a board official told Asahi Shimbun that they concluded that dismissal is appropriate for a repeated offense after reviewing previous cases and their disciplinary actions. So here we have a repeated offense, which is an action or behavior that violates rules or policies and occurs multiple times, like this guy filling his large coffee cup. And disciplinary actions are measures taken by an organization, such as a school or workplace, to address and correct any misconduct or rule breaking. These actions can range from verbal warnings to more serious consequences like suspension or termination, which is what this principal received. Japan Women's University professor Takashi Sakata said, the punishment is disproportionately severe as the losses he caused were small. So his punishment is disproportionately severe. To be disproportionately severe, it means a punishment or reaction or consequence that is excessively harsh compared to the seriousness of the issue or offense. Just like in this example, critics claim the fines for jaywalking were disproportionately severe, especially since they were higher than those for some traffic violations. So jaywalking is crossing the street illegally or in an unsafe manner, such as not using a crosswalk or ignoring traffic signals. So a lot of people in this example are upset because the city or country gives jaywalkers high fines compared to other traffic violations. Our article concludes, the loss of his teaching license and retirement pay have a significantly larger impact than the losses the principal was responsible for, said Professor Sakata, who added that the board should have handled the matter cautiously. In a similar incident in another prefecture, a municipal employee was dismissed after dispensing a cup of coffee worth 200 yen at a convenience store after paying for a coffee worth 100 yen. So what do you think, viewers? Did the punishment fit the crime, or was the principal punished too severely? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. See you in the future.